The Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privilege of the floor will please retire to the gallery. The senators and all in attendance will stand and be led in prayer by Sister Taliba Sakina Hassan, Vice President of the Muslim Association of Virginia in Woodbridge, Virginia.
Good afternoon. Peace to you. Let us pray. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim. Wada-dalin. Ameen. English. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, all praise is due to God, the Lord of all the worlds, most gracious, most merciful. You alone do we worship, and you alone we seek your help. Guide us on the straight way, the path upon whom you have bestowed blessings, not upon the path of those who incur your anger, or of those who go astray. And, dear God, today, help us to listen. Listen. As we go about our legislative duties, listen to each other with open minds, listen for understanding, listen with our hearts inclined to be just to all citizens of Virginia. As viewpoints arise, let us dialogue, cooperate, collaborate with each other. So at the end of the day, we'll be able to say, thank you. Today I was heard by my colleagues. Let your spirit guide us and stay with us throughout the legislative year. May the people of Virginia whom we serve benefit from your dialogue, your cooperation, your collaboration as a legislative body. Guide us to be a model to the nation. Now, each individual, in whatever name you call the Creator who made us all, let the Senate together say, Amen.
Amen. The clerk will call the roll. All those present will vote aye. Clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Senate Journal for Wednesday, February 7th, 2018.
The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. The reading of the journal is waived. Clerk will report any communication from the House of Delegates. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully move we waive the reading of any communications received from the House of Delegates.
I thank the senator. Question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. The reading of the communication from the House of Delegates is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now comes the time in the morning hour. We have the privilege and the pleasure of greeting our distinguished guests here in the gallery of the Senate. Before we begin, I will give my daily gentle and friendly reminder that the way this process will work is the senator will recognize the group or individual in the gallery. I will then extend the warm welcome of the Senate, and then we will all clap together one time for that group or person. So thank you all so much for your cooperation. I'd like to recognize the Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Thank the Senator. Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, the prayer was given by Sister Taliba Sekani Hassan from the Muslim Association of Virginia. This is an organization that includes several mosques in the Commonwealth. The mosque in my district, Dal Ar-Noor, is known for their work in the community, not only on matters that pertain to their faith, but also focused on youth development, helping disadvantaged neighbors, and civic engagement. And I ask, Mr. President, that you give and offer the Muslim Association of Virginia and Sister Taliba Sekana Hassan the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would Sister Hassan and all those from the Muslim Association of Virginia in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you so much for joining us here today. We are honored by your presence. And Sister Hassan, thank you for that really beautiful and wonderful prayer. We're grateful that you got us off to the right start. And I think you indicated this was your first time in the Senate offering the prayer, and certainly, hopefully not your last. And you're welcome here anytime. Thank you for your leadership in the community. As Senator McPike mentioned, it really is a wonderful and special community. I have had the privilege and pleasure of being there for services, Eid services at Dar el-Noor, and also on other occasions, and really is a wonderful, welcoming, and beautiful community. So thank you guys so much for being here. You are welcome anytime here in the Senate and in the Capitol. And I would ask everyone to please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for purposes of an introduction.
The Senator has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would appreciate it if you would extend a warm and succinct welcome to representatives from the Thomas Nelson Community College and their president, John T. Deaver, who is in the gallery. You will note on the calendar today, under the commending resolution on page 53, there is Senate Joint Resolution 126, which is recognizing and applauding Thomas Nelson Community College and its educators and administrators for 50 years of delivering educational services to young people and transitioning people in the peninsula of Virginia. So if you would extend a very warm welcome, I'd be most appreciative.
I thank the Senator. Would John Deaver and the members of the Thomas Nelson Community College with us in the gallery please rise? Thank you so much, Mr. Deaver, for being here today. We're grateful for your leadership and the leadership of Thomas Nelson and all the wonderful things that you do in the Commonwealth of Virginia to expand opportunity for so many people to make our Commonwealth better. You, of course, are welcome here anytime in the Senate and in the Capitol. And I would ask everyone, please, to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Mr. John Deaver. The junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D. Steph.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, Senator.
Rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Today in the gallery are Dr. Keith and Mrs. Deshwana Berger and Rita Payne of the Center for Health Cancer Prevention in Virginia Beach. They are visiting the Capitol for the very first time to share their concerns. Mr. President, let's give them the warmest regard of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would Dr. and Mrs. Keith Berger and Rita Payne please rise in the gallery if you are able? Thank you all so much for being here today. We're honored by your presence, and we echo the words of the junior senator from Virginia Beach. We're grateful for your advocacy and for your work in the Virginia Beach area, but also here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. You're welcome back anytime, and I would ask everyone to please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate. The senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the gallery today is a very old and good friend of mine who I worked with 25 years ago in Fairfax County. Tom Minnick, who is chairman of the National Counseling Group, is here, along with company president Frank Vieira and a number of National Counseling Group employees. 25 years ago, when Tom was working for the Community Services Board, he saw a need. People didn't show up to appointments, and Tom learned at social work school at VCU that what his mission was to meet clients where they are. With an innovative and entrepreneurial spirit, Tom began to bring the public and private sectors together to create an in-home mental health service delivery system that became the National Counseling Group. One of his strategies was to create some basketball teams among the mental health and substance abuse community that I had the honor to referee, and that was the start of our friendship back in 1993. And this was the start of the National Counseling Group, which now provides mental health services to 18,000 Virginians in 33 different locations across the Commonwealth. They employ 1,200 Virginians and have 500 employees working in other states on similar contracts in North Carolina, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And they're about to close a major contract with the state of Georgia to provide services to our south. They employ a diverse and highly educated staff, which is 70% female and 60% minority. Tom and the folks at National Counseling Group also give back by giving 5% of their gross revenue to charities, scholarships, and assistance to those who are uninsured or unable to pay for services. Mr. President, this is the best of Virginia, providing efficient and effective mental health services with a business model that is meeting the needs of 21st century Virginia. Mr. President, I ask that Tom Minnick and the folks at the National Counseling Group be given the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would Tom Minnick and our friends from the National Counseling Group in the gallery please rise if you're able? And thank you. It is an impressive group, but a quick reminder that we will all applaud after we extend the warm welcome of the Senate. But Tom, thank you so much for your leadership over many years here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and thank you to everyone who are part of the National Counseling Group. You do such important and critical work in making the lives of so many people better all throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. I know it's a labor of love and a passion and dedication, so we are grateful to each one of you. We wish you continued success into the future. We echo the words of the Senator from Western Fairfax. You're welcome here anytime. And we would ask everyone to please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate, Tom Minnick, and our friends of National Counseling Group. The Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I rise for purposes of an introduction.
Good afternoon, Senator. Senator has the floor.
Thank you. It's great to see you, sir.
Great to see you as always.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, in the gallery today, we have a great friend of mine from my area in Henry County, someone who works very hard and tirelessly for the community and for its citizens to keep it safe, to keep it free, to protect people's liberty interests and also their property interest. And I'm just so happy to have him here. He's working very hard to make sure that we upgrade our facilities at our local jail. He's been a great advocate in that area, and he's been a great advocate for the Sheriff's Department, not just for Henry County, but for all sheriffs throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. Mr. President, I'd ask that you extend the warm welcome of the Senate to my good friend and a great American, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Eanes from the Henry County Sheriff's Department.
I thank the Senator. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Eanes, would you please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel, for joining us here today. We echo the really wonderful and kind words of the Senator from Franklin about your leadership and your service. We are grateful for what you do every single day to make Henry County and the Commonwealth of Virginia a better place. I know everyone here is also grateful for what law enforcement does to protect us every single day. So we wish you nothing but the best. You are welcome here anytime. And I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Lieutenant Colonel Eanes. The Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
I am very honored today to take note in the gallery. We are joined by the next generation, Virginia 21. You may know them from their parties that always start after my bedtime. but they are a nonpartisan advocacy group that is really letting us know what the needs are of the generation that's coming, our kids. And I'm so grateful for what they do, and I'm so glad that they're here today to really participate in the process and give us an insight to what they're thinking. So I hope you'll give them a warm welcome, Mr. President.
I thank the Senator. Would our friends from Virginia 21 in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you all so much for joining us here today and for your great advocacy. We echo the words of the Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan, that you are, in fact, the future. And as we say, the future is now. We are ready for your leadership in the Commonwealth today. And I had the honor and pleasure of meeting with a number of you the other day and was just so impressed and blown away by the level of talent and compassion and brilliance that you represent. You're nonpartisan. You're from all around the Commonwealth of Virginia, and you make us all proud here in the Commonwealth. So I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to the leaders from Virginia 21. He's not on the floor. So, Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purposes of an introduction.
The Senator has the floor.
On behalf of the Senator from Arlington, the Senator from Northern Fairfax, and myself, I have the honor today of welcoming Indivisible Arlington, led by my constituent Louis Drummond. They're in the gallery, and they've been in Capitol Square. They represent groups in Virginia and across the country. They're one of 5,800 individual groups or chapters registered across the country. And in Arlington, they represent more than 1,800 members supporting the principles of inclusion, equality, and respect for all. They, in the last year, have had an impressive growth, exponential growth, I should say, where they've mobilized their members, worked across the state and the nation to support candidates, and provide a conduit for direct action, increased participation in the democratic process, not only at the state level, but also at the local and national levels. They study the issues, they know the bills, and in case there's any doubt whether anyone is watching our committee meetings, they're watching our committee meetings and noting what I did right, and if I do anything wrong, I'm going to hear from them too. Last year, they motivated many thousands to get involved in the political process, whether through volunteer work, contacting representatives, and particularly carefully studying the issues and casting a ballot. And I would say when I look at Indivisible, I say that's what democracy looks like. So please extend the warm welcome of the Senate to Indivisible Arlington.
I thank the Senator. Would Louis Drummond and our friends from Indivisible Arlington in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you all so much for joining us here today. We echo the eloquent words of the Senator from Alexandria. On behalf of him, Senator Favola, Senator Marsden, I want to welcome you here. Thank you for your engagement as citizens and your focus on equality and inclusion and making our Commonwealth a better place for everyone to live. So on behalf of us all, I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our friends from Indivisible Arlington. The Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for purposes of introduction.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
Mr. President, as many of you know, we are only 1 year away from the 400th anniversary of a key historical event in Virginia, and that is the very first representative legislative assembly in the New World at Jamestown. And if you need any more information, the Senator from Fairfax, certainly can provide some firsthand accounts of how things were there. But, Mr. President, there were some other very notable events almost 400 years ago. The arrival of the first Africans to English North America, recruitment of English women in significant numbers to the Commonwealth, and, Mr. President, one that a state to our north seems to have missed their timeline on. In Virginia, the observance of the first official Thanksgiving in North America almost 400 years ago. Mr. President, in the gallery, we have members of the 2019 commemoration leadership with us. One, a former member of ours, Mary Margaret Whipple from the Women's Monument Commission, Frank Atkinson and Jackie Stone from McGuire Woods, Ben Dindy from Vector Corporation, Phil Emerson from the Jamestown Yorktown Foundation, And from the commemoration itself, Kathy Spengler and Nancy Rodriguez. If you could offer them the warm welcome of the Senate and thanks for their efforts as we try to spread the knowledge of our history and the accomplishments we've made in the last 400 years.
I thank the Senator very much. Would our friends from the Jamestown-Yorktown Foundation's 2019 Commemoration Committee in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you all so much for your leadership on what Senator McDougall eloquently pointed out as one of the key markers in our history, and it is a very important celebration of how far we've come as a Commonwealth and as a country, and we have wonderful leaders here taking up the charge, and especially want to thank Senator Mary Margaret Whipple, who was in this body and served with distinction here, and our other friends Jackie and Ben and Nancy, Secretary, and really all the great leaders who are making this celebration possible and making us all proud as Virginians. So we are grateful to you. We wish you nothing but the best in your work. And I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our distinguished guests. It's the senior senator from Virginia Beach. He was here, and he'll be back. The junior senator from Loudoun County, Senator Wexton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for two introductions.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joining us in the gallery today are representatives from the Al Dulles Area Muslim Society, the Adams Center, in my district in Northern Virginia. Adams is one of the biggest mosques in the country. It serves over 5,000 families throughout Northern Virginia. And I know many of us in this chamber have had the opportunity to visit Adams for Friday prayers, and we always feel so welcome and enjoy going there. But I'm especially thankful for other things that Adams does in terms of their civic engagement and their interfaith advocacy. Two areas where they really have gone above and beyond are in the provision of helping to fill gaps in our social services through their faith social services and the Compassionate Health Care Network, which provide social services and free health care to anyone, regardless of their faith, just based on their need. And so if you would please give them the warm welcome of the Senate and our thanks.
I thank the senator very much. Would our friends from the Adams Center in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you all so much for joining us here today. We echo the very generous and kind words of the junior senator from Loudoun County about the Adams Center and how important it is to the Commonwealth of Virginia and to Northern Virginia as well. We thank you for your services that you provide to people regardless of their faith and for what you represent, inclusion for all. And so we're grateful that you're here. You're welcome anytime. And we look forward to seeing you around the Capitol. And I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our friends from the Adams Center. The junior senator from Loudoun County, Senator Wexton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also joining us in the gallery is a group from Leadership Loudoun. Leadership Loudoun is a nonprofit that develops and trains current and emerging leaders in Loudoun County. As a part of their program, they explore the history, political structure, economic climate, and challenges facing our fast-growing county. And they have come down into the Capitol today to meet with elected officials to learn more about how we make the laws and to have an opportunity to see how we do what we do. Their members are drawn from local government, from the private sector, and from our local nonprofits. I know that they've had an opportunity to meet with a number of people here in the chamber. On behalf of the senior senator from Loudoun, the senator from Arlington, the senator from Fauquier, and myself, I hope that you will give them the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the senator. Would our friends from Leadership Loudoun in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today in the Senate and also at the Capitol. We echo the words of the junior senator from Loudoun, and on behalf of the senior senator from Loudoun, the senator from Fauquier, Senator Vogel, and all of us, we are grateful for the time that you have committed to make Loudoun a better place and to make the Commonwealth of Virginia a more vibrant place where people can thrive economically and get access to opportunity in the American dream. So we wish you the best in your work. I had the honor and privilege of meeting with you briefly before this session, and we look forward to seeing you here many, many more times to come. And I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our friends from Leadership Loudoun. The senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for purposes of an introduction.
Thank the senator. You have the floor.
Yes, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, today is Port Day at the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we have visiting with us members of the Virginia Maritime Association. Mr. President, as you know, the port is a key economic engine throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. They're here lobbying on behalf of a very, very important issue, and that's to get the planning money and design money moving forward to making Hampton Roads the deepest harbor on the east coast of the United States, down to 55 feet. What that means, not just for our region, but for every region of this Commonwealth, by us being able to accommodate the largest of ships, and perhaps for many ships, the only one of just a few ports they can call on the entire eastern seaboard, puts our port in a unique position. And they're here lobbying on behalf of that issue, Mr. President, and I ask you to give them a warm welcome to the Senate.
I thank the senator. Would our friends from the Virginia Maritime Association in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you for your leadership and your great work, and particularly on Port Day. It's a really important day of advocacy, and we're grateful that you took the time to be with us in the Capitol. We echo the eloquent words of the senior senator from Virginia Beach, and I'm sure also on behalf of the junior senator from Virginia Beach and those in Hampton Roads in particular who get to see and benefit from your work, but really all of us here in the Commonwealth of Virginia who are grateful for what you are doing. So we look forward to working with you. And I would ask everyone here to please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our friends from the Virginia Maritime Association. The senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, it's a perfect segue coming off the Virginia Maritime Association. I'd like for you to join the gentleman from James City County and myself for welcoming the William and Mary Law School Coastal Policy Center, led by Professor Elizabeth Andrews. These students combine the knowledge of the law and the work with groups like the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, the Virginia Sea Grant, Old Dominion University, and the Coastal Policy Resiliency work, and just try to study issues of the day dealing with sea level rise and some of the challenges. They're doing a project now on the Eastern Shore in Poquoson and in Norfolk on the south side. So they stop by to see us every year. And Mr. President, last year, the lieutenant governor spoke to their conference in Williamsburg, so maybe they'll extend an invitation to you to come down and see him next year. So I'd appreciate it if you give them the warm welcome to the Senate, sir.
I thank the senator very much. Would our friends from the Virginia Coastal Policy Center at the William and Mary Law School in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Thank you for your work and your leadership in such an important area for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We echo the eloquent words of the senator from Williamsburg about how grateful we are for that continued great work. I'd be honored if you want to invite me to come and see you and follow the footsteps of our great now Governor Ralph Northam. And on behalf of the senator from James City County and all the other senators here who benefit from your work, we would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our distinguished guests from William and Mary. Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I stand for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Mr. President, we're very pleased today to have in the gallery a large group of the Southern Baptist Convention that has come down for the day. They had the opportunity, Mr. President, to visit with us in education and health and find their way through the legislative process. We're delighted to have them here. They have with them their leader, Mr. Brandon Pickett. And Mr. Pickett is someone that has been very, very helpful in the Lynchburg area. He is a reformed former media person with our local ABC station, and now have seen the light on Damascus Road and has joined the Southern Baptist Convention. I hope that you would give them the warm welcome to the Senate.
I thank the senator very much. Mr. Brandon Pickett and our friends from the Southern Baptist Convention of Virginia, thank you for joining us here today in the gallery. Thank you for being in the Capitol. And thank you for your leadership on so many fronts in our civic and faith communities. We are grateful for your dedication and your commitment. We echo the eloquent words of the senator from Bedford, Senator Newman, and on behalf of all of us here, we want to extend the warm welcome of the Senate to our distinguished guests. Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Mr. President, I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the gallery today, we have representatives from the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce, my good friend, including the chairman of their legislative committee, Kevin Williams, and their multicultural chamber chair and liaison, Edward Williams. The Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce is committed to providing dynamic leadership and advocacy to strengthen and promote prosperity within the African American community through the identification of resources, creating initiatives, and establishing educational and entrepreneurial opportunities for the African American community across Northern Virginia. And Mr. President, I ask you to extend the warm welcome to the members of the Northern Virginia Black Chamber.
I thank the senator. Will the leaders from the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce in the gallery with us please rise? Thank you all so much for joining us here today. Thank you for your leadership in Northern Virginia, in the business community, but also in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're grateful for your focus on entrepreneurship and opportunity and educational opportunities for African Americans and for so many others. And you're welcome here anytime in the Senate and in this Capitol. And we wish you nothing but success going into the future. I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our friends from the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce. For what purpose does a senior senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove, wish to be recognized?
For announcement, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, she's not here with us, but I want to take this opportunity to wish my legislative aide, Christy New Craig, a happy birthday. And the reason I do this, she's been with me for 17 years, and she made it known to me, I'm pretty sure she said this, that all she wanted for her birthday was for Senator Stanley to come by and tell her funny stories and for the majority leader to come by and sing happy birthday. So Mr. President, if we could just join. I know it's unusual, but Chrissy's a wonderful person and a fantastic legislative aide, and we just wish her a happy birthday.
Well, Senator, I appreciate that very generous announcement. And Chrissy New Craig, on behalf of Senator Cosgrove, Senator Norman, Senator Stanley, and all of us, we wish you a very happy birthday, and thank you for the work that you do for Senator Cosgrove and for all of us here in the Senate. And even though you're not here, hopefully you're watching on TV, we would ask that everyone please give Chrissy a happy birthday and a warm welcome of the Senate. Do any other senators wish to be recognized for purposes of introduction? Is there any more business to come for the morning hour? Seeing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Thursday, February 8th, 2018. Uncontested calendar. Senate bills on third reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, I would finally respectfully move that all the Senate bills on the third reading on the calendar and all the uncontested bills, that they be placed on their final passage in the block. And that would include all Senate bills on pages 1 through 3, including Senate Bill 983 through Senate Bill 981. Any senator who desires to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of that bill.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate bills of the uncontested calendar third reading, pages 1 through 3, Senate Bill 983 through Senate Bill 981, be placed upon their final passage in the block, with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 983, Senate Bill 587, Senate Bill 609, Senate Bill 888, Senate Bill 912, Senate Bill 981.
The question is, shall the bills in the block pass? All in favor of the passage of the bills will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on third reading, Senate Bill 261, a bill relating to the standards of quality, staffing requirements, librarians, and clerical personnel.
Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could Senate Bill 261 go by for the day, please?
Without objection, Senate Bill 261 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 308, a bill relating to driving under the influence highways.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass and speaking to it.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, what this bill does is, well, let me back up. There was a case in 2016, I believe. It was called Seraphin versus Commonwealth. And what that case stands for is the proposition that you can be charged and arrested and prosecuted and convicted for driving under the influence if you're in your own on your own property, in your own driveway, in your backyard. And that's what the case stands for. It's a little more complicated than that. But basically, if you are drinking a beer, you have the keys in your ignition in your car and have control over that, you can be prosecuted for drunk driving. I don't think that's ever what the legislature intended. And so what this bill does is it carves out an exception for your residence or the curtilage thereof. You still can be convicted of drunk driving on your private property. This just carves out an exception for your residence and the curtilage thereof. I hope you'll support the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 308? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 308 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 3.
Ayes 37, noes 3. Senate Bill 308 passes.
Senate Bill 416, a bill relating to venue in criminal cases, concurrent jurisdiction, obsolete provisions.
Senator from Hanover.
Mr. President.
Senator from Rockingham. Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I rise for a motion with respect to Senate Bill 416. This is a...
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this is a Code Commission bill, and it addresses a number of issues that should have probably received additional attention in the Courts Committee. And in the interest of consistency, I would respectfully move that this be recommitted to the Committee on Courts of Justice.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall Senate Bill 416 be recommitted to the Committee on the Courts of Justice? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is recommitted to the Committee on the Courts of Justice.
Senate Bill 545, a bill relating to court reporters' prohibited action civil penalties.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I move the bill's passage and speaking
somewhat
more briefly to the bill, hopefully, than yesterday. Let me just remind the members this deals with court reporters and basically trying to restore them to their traditional historic position as independent officers of the court. And I struggled in order to try and think about the answer to some of the questions that were asked, particularly the junior senator from Chesapeake, his questions yesterday. And, one thing that I would point out is, this goes to confidence by litigants in the integrity of our civil justice system. And I can tell you, as somebody who's worked both sides of civil litigation, this is a bill that's supported by plaintiffs' lawyers and defense lawyers alike. They think that this is important to restore the equilibrium, the whole darn thing. And the reason is couplefold. Defense lawyers, they want to pick their own court reporters. They also feel like it's unfair, the way that the practice has worked. And I'll tell you, in order to illustrate, I can tell you, anybody in here who has represented somebody in a case involving a large institutional opponent can identify with this. You've got a lot of people who come into civil litigation intimidated and feeling like the deck is stacked against them, that lawyers are all working together and that they're not going to get a fair shake. And I can tell you, I've had situations where somebody has given a deposition, given testimony, and has been confronted with that and said, I didn't say that. That was not what I said in the deposition. And I have to tell them, yeah, it is. It's on paper. The court reporters are independent. They are charged with accurately taking this down, and they accept that. But if that guy or that woman, that client, finds out that that court reporter is employed by the institutional defendant on the other side of the case, I will never, ever be able to convince them that they're getting a fair shake in that litigation. This simply restores the position of court reporters as officers of the court, and that's the way it always has been, and that's the way it always should be.
I thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 545? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 545 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 4.
Ayes 36, noes 4. Senate Bill 545 passes.
Senate Bill 813, a bill relating to sharing of forfeited assets report.
Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Pete.
Yes, I rise to speak to the bill. Move that it pass.
Senator has the floor.
Yes. This bill simply adds 2 requirements to a reporting requirement we already have. This bill applies to asset forfeitures. The code currently requires that police departments, counties, police and sheriffs, that they report all assets of sales and proceeds from civil asset forfeitures. What we're adding in this is that they also include in that report how many assets were taken as a result of a criminal charge and how many assets were taken as a result of a conviction. So that is the purpose of this bill. I move that it pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 813? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 813 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. Senate Bill 813 passes.
Senate Bill 982, a bill relating to guidelines for the determination of a child support obligation, child support orders.
Senior Senator from Richmond City, Senator Sturdivant.
Mr. President, I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the bill,
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this is a simple bill. I serve on the Child Support Guidelines Review Panel with Delegate Leftwich and Delegate Toscano in the off-season. And this is a bill that is recommended by the Virginia Family Law Coalition that would simply require that when a court determines child support obligations using the child support guidelines worksheet, that a copy be provided to the parties and also be put in the court's file. And I move that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Are there any other senators who wish to be heard on Senate Bill 982? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 982 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. Senate Bill 982 passes.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on second reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move all the Senate bills on the second reading on the uncontested calendar, including all Senate bills on pages 6 through 15, including Senate Bill 72 through Senate Bill 989 be engrossed in advance to the third reading in the block after the adoption of any amendments. Any senator who may desire to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of that bill.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 6 through 15, Senate Bill 72 through Senate Bill 989, be engrossed in advance to the third reading in the block after the adoption of the amendments thereto, and that any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to.
Senate Bill 72, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor. Senate Bill 163, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance.
The junior senator from Loudoun, Senator Wexton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the substitute from the Committee on General Laws and Technology.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 198, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. Senate Bill 205, reported from the Committee on Finance with amendment.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move the amendment.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to.
Senate Bill 389, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendments, and from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr.
We're
Thank
buddies,
you, Mr.
fella,
President. It's close. I'd move the amendments, please.
Thank the senator. And I believe we're going to do these one by one, if that's okay. First with education and health.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I'd move the amendments from education and health.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments from the Committee on Education and Health be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments from the Committee on Education and Health are agreed to. Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
And now, Mr. President, I would move the amendment from the Committee on Finance.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the amendment from the Committee on Finance be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Committee on Finance amendment is agreed to.
Senate Bill 449, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Mr. President, I would move the substitute from the Committee on Education and Health.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute from the Committee on Education and Health be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute from the Committee on Education and Health is adopted. The senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
And now, Mr. President, I would move the amendment from the Committee on Finance.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment from the Committee on Finance be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment from the Committee on Finance is agreed to.
Senate Bill 564, reported for the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I move the substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
And, Mr. President, I move the Finance Committee amendment.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Committee on Finance amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment from the Committee on Finance is agreed to.
Senate Bill 780, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute.
Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Mr. President, I would move the substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 853, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor. Senate Bill 867, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Prince William, Senator McPike.
Mr. President, I move the substitute from the Committee on Education and Health be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute from the Committee on Education and Health be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute for the Committee on Education and Health is agreed to. The Senator from Prince William, Senator McPike.
Mr. President, the next amendment, I actually got a note from Senate Finance staff that the amendment be removed and conferred with the co-chair of Finance as well. So with that, with the recommendation that the amendment be rejected, I move the committee amendment be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. With the recommendation that the amendment be rejected, the question is, shall the amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. The amendment is rejected.
Senate Bill 893, reported from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
President.
Junior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D-Step.
Mr. President, voting on the prevailing side of Senate Bill 545 on page 5, I request we reconsider that vote in which we passed it.
The Senator wouldn't mind if we waited till we finish with this block and then make the motion?
That'd be fine.
Thank the Senator. Madam Clerk.
Senate Bill 893, reported from the Committee on Finance with amendment.
Junior Senator from Loudoun, Senator Wexton.
Mr. President, I move that the committee amendment be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to.
Senate Bill 908, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with amendments.
The junior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee amendments be adopted.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted.
Senate Bill 922, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with amendments.
Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendments be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to.
Senate Bill 979, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute.
Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Mr. President, I move the substitute from the Committees on General Laws and Technology.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 980, reported from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I move that the Finance Committee amendment be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to.
Senate Bill 985, reported from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
The senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner.
Mr. President, I move adoption of the committee amendment.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted.
Senate Bill 989, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor.
The question is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed and advanced to their third reading? All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are engrossed and advanced to their third reading.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 159, a bill relating to the Commonwealth's lien for payment of medical services limitations, reported from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
For purposes, the junior senator from Virginia Beach rise.
Mr. President, voting on the prevailing side on which this body passed Senate Bill 545 on page 5, I request we reconsider that vote.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 545 was passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The motion is agreed to. The senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, having previously explained the bill, I move its passage.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 545 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 5.
Ayes 35, noes 5. Senate Bill 545 passes.
Returning to page 16, Senate Bill 777, a bill relating to post-conviction relief. We have Senate Bill 159. Reported from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, could that bill go by for the day?
Without objection, Senate Bill 159 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 777, a bill relating to post-conviction relief, previously admitted scientific evidence. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with the substitute.
Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. The Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that we engross and advance Senate Bill 777 to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 777 be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 28, a bill relating to medical research on dogs and cats, prohibition on use of state funds, civil penalty. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance with a substitute.
Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the recommendation that we reject the substitute from the Committee on Agriculture, I now move the committee substitute.
Thank the Senator. With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the committee substitute from the Committee on Agriculture be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. Chair is uncertain. We'll have a recorded vote.
With the recommendation, Mr. President, with the recommendation that we reject the sub from Ag.
What?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Parliamentary inquiry would be this. Did I not make, with the recommendation that we would reject the substitute from Agriculture Committee, that I moved the committee substitute? Is that what I did?
That's what you did, Senator.
Do we have a court reporter for that now?
We do not.
Okay, then the inquiry is, the vote would be, if you were to reject the Ag sub, moving the committee substitute, that would be a red. That would be a no. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Rejected it, you'd vote no. But approve it or agree to it, you'd vote yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the Senator.
Mr. President, as a result of the confusion, it was not a recorded vote, so I would ask that intellectually we strike the previous verbal vote. And
well, haven't I? Boy, have I created problems here, huh? Okay, look alive. Doing this for real now.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. We're going to try this again. We're going to do a voice vote. The Senator will renew his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the recommendation that we reject the substitute from the Committee on Agriculture, I now move the committee substitute.
Thank the Senator. With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye. Shut up.
Those opposed, no.
No. Thank you.
The chair is not in doubt. The noes have it. The committee substitute is rejected. The Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President, for straightening that out, sir. I much appreciate it. Now I move that we agree to the substitute from the Finance Committee.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the substitute from the Finance Committee be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
Come on.
The ayes have it. The committee substitute from the Committee on Finance is agreed to. Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Yes, sir. I now move that Senate Bill 28, now in its perfect form, be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 28 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 31, a bill relating to the Interstate 73 Corridor Development Fund and Program, reported from the Committee on Finance.
The senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I now move that this awesome bill about Interstate 73, Senate Bill 31, be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 31 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
Oh, come on.
The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 177, a bill relating to Revolutionary War graves, reported for the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendments, and from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I first will now move the General Law Committee amendment.
Question is, shall the committee amendments from the General Laws and Technology Committee be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to. The senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move with more vigor the finance amendments.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment from the Committee on Finance be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. The senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that we engross in advance Senate Bill 177 onto its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 177 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 181, a bill relating to suspension driver's license for non-payment of fines or costs, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with the substitute, and from the Committee on Finance with amendments. And there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Yeah, I feel like Scott Surville today. Mr. President, I now move that we agree to the Committee on Courts substitute on Senate Bill 181.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute for the Committee for Courts of Justice be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. The senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that we agree to the amendments that were made in the Finance Committee, sir.
Question is, shall the committee amendments from the Committee on Finance be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Yes, Mr. President. I now move that we waive the reading of the floor amendment.
Question is, shall the reading of the floor amendment be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendment is waived. Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
I now move that we agree to the floor amendment. And speaking to that motion, sir, I have no idea what it is. Now, Mr. President, well, it just removes the word commission in terms of enforcement. It's just a technical amendment, really just cleans up part of the code there in terms of who can and who cannot enforce, and that's the best I can do to that one.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the floor amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendment is agreed to. Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
For the last time, I promise, I now move that Senate Bill 181 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 181 be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 191, a bill relating to net energy metering, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute.
The senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley. Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola. We're in a groove. Right?
Thank you. You made me nervous there for a moment, Mr. President. Very nervous. Mr. President, I move that the substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. The senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 310, a bill relating to the Department of Medical Assistance Services eligibility for services under waiver, place of residence. Reported from the Committee on Finance with a substitute.
The junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeSteff.
Mr. President, I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. The junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeSteff.
Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 310 be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 310 be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 312, a bill relating to solar service agreements cooperative procurement. Reported for the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute, and there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, may this bill go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 312 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 405, a bill relating to zoning for wireless communications infrastructure. Reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute.
Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. The senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 486, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, distiller licensee, commission from sales on licensed premises, samples, hours of operation, markup. Reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance.
Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee amendment.
The committee substitute?
Substitute. Correct, sir.
No, thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we engross and advance this fine measure.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 525, a bill relating to the maximum number of judges in each judicial district and circuit. Reported from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I move the Finance Committee amendment.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. The senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I'd ask that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 803, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, sales conducted at government stores established by Alcoholic Beverage Control Board on distillers' licensed premises, disposition of markup profits. Reported from the Committee on Finance with an amendment.
Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move the committee amendment.
Question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. The senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I move that we engross and advance to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 809, a bill relating to eminent domain, calculation of lost profits, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance.
Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move the substitute from the Courts of Justice Committee.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. The senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed in advance to third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 827, a bill relating to courthouse and courtroom security assessment, reported from the Committee on Finance.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 860, a bill relating to health care provider panels, vertically integrated carriers, reimbursement to public hospitals, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute.
Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. The senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutionally required reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 878, a bill relating to mental health services in local and regional jails, reported for the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with an amendment, and from the Committee on Finance with a substitute.
The senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Mr. President, may this pass by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 878 will pass by for the day.
Senate Bill 884, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with an amendment, and from the Committee on Finance.
Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we agree to the committee amendment from Rehab and Social Services.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 896, a bill relating to the motor fuel vehicle sales tax in certain areas of the Commonwealth price floor, reported for the Committee on Finance with a substitute.
Senior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner.
Mr. President, I move adoption of the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. The senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I now move that the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 921, a bill relating to the uniform statewide building code security of certain records, reported for the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute.
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. The senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
I move that we engross Senate Bill 921 and send it to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third constitutional reading.
Senate Bill 966, a bill relating to electric utility regulation, grid modernization, energy efficiency programs, etc. Reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute, and there are 13 floor amendments.
The senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senior senator from Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
What purpose does the senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson, rise?
Mr. President, prior to engrossment, I have floor amendments.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, there are 13 floor amendments, which I'm going to organize into 4 blocks. And what I'd like to do is take floor amendments 1 and 2 and basically have those considered as a block. Floor amendments 1 and 2.
Thank the senator. Can we first waive the reading of?
And I'd move to waive the reading.
Question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments 1 through 13 be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. The senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
And then, Mr. President, what I'd like to do is have floor amendments 1 and 2, which are the first page, taken up as a block.
Thank the senator. We will take up floor amendments 1 and 2 as a block. Senator from Fairfax City has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move to adopt the floor amendments and speak to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is a bill that has been talked about a lot and has been talked about for years. It basically is a carryover from legislation we passed in 2015 when we adopted the rate freeze. We've made many, many speeches on the floor of this body about it, and I think we've all made our positions known, so I'm not going to rehash that from day one. I will say that I have brought bills to repeal the rate freeze both in the last session and this session. I know other members have joined me in that. And basically, the bills that I bought were very simple. It was simply to repeal the rate freeze and allow the State Corporation Commission jurisdiction to, again, award refunds when there are overcharges and excess profits that accrued to our utility providers. This bill is a 60-page bill, or else, I guess at this point in the single space, it's 28 pages. But it does, in some respect, repeal the rate freeze, but it does so in a way that, frankly, I find unpalatable and I can't support. And what it does is it allows the utility providers to take the money and give back a portion of it, which I think aggregates to about $200 million, which I will show later as a fraction of what is actually overpaid. But then it allows them to take the extra money, the excess profits, and divert it into other projects. And so my first amendment strikes the language in the bill, which if you look at it on page 17 of 28, because I know you all printed it out and read it last night, it strikes about 60 languages of single-space text, which rather than paying the money back to the customers as refunds, instead has it be diverted into any types of projects, grid transformation projects, renewable projects, you name it, but eventually, essentially gets away from the whole concept of giving the money back to customers. And I have 2 problems with that. First of all, I like things simple. The money was overcharged, and it should be given back. Now, I don't reach back into the fiscal years of 2015 and 2016 because I think that money, unfortunately, is gone. But at least reaching back to fiscal year 2017 when we have a triennial review, which I'm not crazy about that either, but that process we would have that we could reach back to 2017, starting in 2017, and give the money back to the customers. That's the first objection. The second objection is what you've probably referred to as the double dipping issue, and that is this. I don't know how much folks know about utility economics, but here's essentially how it works. Utilities don't make money by delivering electricity to the customers, okay? That's basically a cost-based process. How they make money is by taking capital projects and putting that into what is called the rate base. When you put a project into the rate base, when you invest hundreds of millions of dollars, let's say you invest $100 million to build a substation or a small power plant, that project is then put into the rate base and you can charge a capital cost or a return of equity on it. That return of equity is typically about 10 to 11%. That's the national standard. You get that return on equity every year. So if you have a 30-year amortization of that power plant, you're getting that 10% every year. So that $100 million plant now has a $300 million payout over the life of that project. And that's not bad. I mean, that's just how economics works. But what we're allowing them to do is double dip. They avoid paying the refund to the customer, plus they put the project into the rate base so they recover these profits all the way down the line. Now, I know there's going to be arguments about, well, they'll freeze the rates and the base rates won't rise. You know as well as I do, every time there's a new project, for example, the new hydroelectric plant we've been talking about, it's going to go into what's called a rate adjustment charge, which is a charge above the line. So while the base rate should be refunded if they're overpriced, we won't be doing that because instead we'll be putting the money into other projects, grid transformation projects, whatever you want to call it. So what I've done with this amendment is strip out that language which diverts the refunds to another source and instead restores it back to the customers from whom the money came from in the first place. So that would be the first amendment, and I move that you adopt the amendment. Thank you.
Thank the senator. We're taking up both amendments 1 and 2.
Yes, sir.
Senior senator from Virginia Beach. For what purpose does the senator rise?
To speak against the amendment, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
And, Mr. President, in order to speak against this amendment, I got to give you a broader context of where we've been and where we are today. It was over a decade ago that this General Assembly passed something called the Virginia Energy Plan. For the first time, the first state that I'm aware of put a comprehensive energy plan and directed the governor every 4 years to develop that plan and build off of that plan. And that's been in place since prior to 2005 and continues forward to this day. And every 4 years, the governor, and I assume our Governor Northam is working on his energy plan right now, but every 4 years they put through this energy plan. And several years ago, because of the actions of the Obama administration and the Clean Power Plan, it became a concern about early shutdowns of numerous power plants. It would put us in a state of limbo that this General Assembly chose in a bipartisan manner to freeze the base rates for a period of time while we went through this period of uncertainty. And, Mr. President, let me tell you now, based on the current administration, the actions of the Supreme Court, we now have a degree of certainty at the federal level. But don't for a minute forget what's going on in state law. Today, as we talk for public hearing, and you're free to weigh in on it, is outgoing Governor McAuliffe's initiatives to decrease the carbon output of our existing utility structure within the Commonwealth of Virginia by 30%. That will soon be a regulation that's approved. Now, there's an additional part that would ask Virginia to join or direct Virginia to join the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. I don't think they have the authority because it involves fee increases and new fees, and only this General Assembly can approve new fees. But it takes care of that part. But here's where we are today. I feel certain we're going to have regulations to request us, to insist that our utilities reduce their carbon output by 30%. And ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, we can reach that goal. We can reach that goal if we're prepared to make investments in the grid, if we're prepared to make investments in our solar and renewable energy, if we're prepared to make those types of things. Now, let me tell you what the bill does so you can put it in context, okay? As the senator from Fairfax City mentioned, there will be $133 million of instant, if you will, credits back on electric bills for Virginia's electric consumers. That's this year. Next year, there will be an additional $67 million. Under what Senator Peterson's going to propose, or the senator from Fairfax City is going to propose, it will be a new rate case. We'll put a new rate case in. And we'll follow through on that rate case, and we'll move through and let the SEC do their thing. And we're not going to consider any of this. We're going to operate in a vacuum. We're not going to consider for a minute that even now the Air Board and DEQ are moving forward these regulations. Let the SEC figure it out. It's their problem. That's what the senator from Fairfax City would have you do. Let them figure it out. If you think that's the right way to go, and there are probably people in this room that do, I think you should agree with that. And that's fine. I don't think so. You see, I don't think it's the job of the State Corporation Commission to decide how Virginia is going to produce electricity, where they're going to produce it, and how much to do it. They are not a policy organization down there. This chamber, right here in the chamber down the hall, we're the policy-making initiatives. The governor's office is to execute the policy and work with this General Assembly to develop that policy. And let me tell you where this bill is right now. This is not my work. This is not the work of the Commerce and Labor Committee. This is the work of the governor's office, of stakeholders across the board, environmental groups, the Manufacturing Association, across the board. This is a compromise. And like every compromise, and like every issue, there are going to be things you can pick at. There are going to be things you don't like. There's going to be a reason, everybody in this room, there's a reason, including myself, there's a reason for me to vote no on this bill. But there's 99 more reasons to vote yes on this bill. 99 more reasons why you should. This bill, make no mistake about it, sets us down a policy of a modern grid. Make no mistake about it, this bill sets us down the policy of integrating renewables into our mainstream. And not just a little bit of renewables, but 5,000 megawatts as a goal. Let me tell you, that is a whole lot of new solar power. Now, there are probably some on my side of the aisle that think, oh, that's that. But let me tell you something. I'm convinced after studying, and believe me, I spend a lot of time looking at this, that that's the new future. That's the future that we're headed for. The future of a smart grid. The future of what we're looking at, a grid ability to identify problems before they become problems. Ability, when there is a problem, to be able to identify that problem and fix it in a much more rapid manner. A grid that doesn't have those problems simply because we hardened that grid. We buried critical infrastructure where we knew there were going to be problems, where history tells us there's going to be problems. Bury transmission lines in areas where they might not be in the best interest of that community. And I speak to Northern Virginia when I speak to those particular issues. That's what this bill does. That bill sets policy. Doesn't say to the SCC, you figure it out. Make sure I get every nickel back. And I will tell you right now, under this bill, you could probably get a few more nickels back in your pocket. You could probably get a few more nickels in your pocket back. And what we won't get is the investment that we have to make, the investment that we need to make if we expect to have an economy here in Virginia and an energy grid and an energy power structure that we can be proud of, that represents the technology that we don't think is coming down the road, Mr. President. It's here today. And those states that implement it, those states that put it forward fast are those states that are going to prosper. Like any other new technology, like any other new thing, that state that jumps on board and those organizations that do tend to prosper. That's what this bill does. So we want to drill down on a specific language. We want to look at that. We just want to get these rate impacts. Let's let the SEC decide. You can't do a system upgrade by coming in on each and every individual rate case and try to say this. That is not the smart way. Anybody who's been in any type of contracting knows that you need a continuous to properly plan, to ensure that that money is invested wisely, needs a stream of revenue. In this case, it's around $200 million a year. A stream of revenue to do exactly what I talked about, to build out that smart grid, to harden that grid against both environmental conditions but also cyber conditions, to be able to have a grid that can take the renewables onto the grid. It's easy to say, I'm going to put 5,000 megawatts, but let me tell you, you have to make an investment in the grid in order to allow that to happen. You just can't put power on everywhere without making an investment in the grid to allow that power to actually flow. So you don't. These investments have to be made. And don't get us wrong. The Air Board is saying you will make it because you're going to reduce carbon by 30%. And the only way we get here is to do actions like this, to put it into place. But I just happen to think that perhaps we're on the right track. And there may be those behind me that shoot me in the back for saying that, But you know what? Look down. And for those that question that and say, why are you looking at this? Let me tell you, when I first started looking at this, 1 watt of solar was $3 to $4. $3 to $4. A watt of solar installed now on large projects is down to $1.20. $1.20 a watt. So you go to 1,000 megawatts, that's $1.2 billion to do the math. If you want to have a conventional power plant to produce 1,000 megawatts, it's $1.2 billion. Okay? Now, the solar's not going to produce at 1,000 megawatts all the time. Not going to happen. Sun goes down, cloud goes over, and it turns into night. But that solar panel doesn't need the fuel that $1 billion power plant does either. So there are no fuel costs. When we make these investments, and yes, we provide our utility $200 million. When we make these investments to do that, then we're making these investments for what area where we don't have to use as much fuel, where we don't have to produce as much carbon. But you know what? In the long run, we don't have to pay as much money. And I happen to think that's a great direction to go. But we've got to give our investor-owned utilities a mechanism to be able to make these investments to happen, a mechanism they sure it's going to happen. And this is all prospective over 10 years. Within this bill locks in those base rates that the senator from Fairfax said, locks in those base rates for 10 years. 10 years. And it says normally where if they made too much money during that 10-year period, or during an individual rate review, said you make too much, rather than credit it back to the customer, that becomes part of that $200 million revenue stream. And the utilities at this point that I've talked to are convinced that that's probably enough money to keep going for a long time into the future, where they might never have to come back for a rate adjustment clause. They may in the future. Who knows what the future holds? They may have to come back. But there's a steady stream of money, and later on it may require a rate adjustment clause on the back end to finish the build-out. But take a moment and look where we'll be at 10 years. We're locking in for 10 years. Don't you wish we could sit here today and say we're going to lock in health care benefits? Your health insurance premium is locked in for 10 years. Don't you wish we had that authority to do that? And ladies and gentlemen, I hope so. So when we talk about $100 million, and the senator will talk about these kinds of things, what are we talking about? We're talking about maybe $2, $3 a month more on the electric bill, $1 or $2 more. So with that, Mr. President, I'd like to yield the floor to the senior senator from Fairfax.
I thank the senator. For what purpose does the senior senator from Fairfax rise?
Speak on the amendments and to some lesser degree, far lesser degree of the bill.
Senator has the floor.
That. First off, what's important to know is that if we did this, if we accepted amendments 1 and 2, we would eliminate grid modification and the renewable investment credit. The capital projects that we are going to undertake under this bill they're not eligible to increase any base rates. And you can read lines 9 through 37 through 940, and also there cannot be any rate adjustment charge off of these. But let's talk about one question that came up, and I don't have a whole lot more to say beyond that, about money back to the customer. Back in 2007, we re-regulated the utilities. We deregulated them in the late 90s, and no one came in to offer, competitive rates, because Dominion's rates, and they still are the lowest in the Mid-Atlantic region by far, so we re-regulated them. As a result of that, and I think the senator from James City was involved in that, their first review was in 2011 for years 2009 and 10. And for 2009 and 10, they had over-earned $78 million on the assumption that the average house uses 1,000 megawatt hours a month, okay? 1,000 kilowatt hours per month, not kilowatt hours per month. The rebate on average was $2.84 a house, a credit, for 6 months. That's the money from a $78 million over-earning for a 2-year period. Average house, $2.84 credit for 6 months. In the review of 2013, for the years 2011 and 12, they under-earned, so nothing was done. Then in 2015, the last review, for the years 2013 and 14, they over-earned by a grand whopping total of $19 million. That same house that got $2.84 from the $78 million, for 6 months, they got a credit to their bill of 78 cents per house. Now, let me just tell you all this. 78 cents a month for 6 months and $2.84 a month for 6 months is not going to make anybody a threat to Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. And you ask yourself, as a society, Are we better off spending that money on renewables, which for generations to come will dramatically not only clean our air up, but also lower our rates? And I think anybody who can do any basic math will tell you, yes, we are better off collectively as a society to do this. So, and this is the major premise of the bill, is how do we get to where we want to get? We got 5,000 megawatts of solar in that bill. And if you remember in 2015, when we froze the rates, Senator McEachin and I, Senator Wagner, got put in there 500 megawatts of solar by 2020. They went past that last summer. 5,000 is what we put in there now. And let me tell you, 5,000 megawatts is 1,250,000 homes, okay? And now it's not 24 hours a day, as was pointed out. The sun's not out all the time, obviously. But if we don't start doing something now, we're never going to modernize our grid system. And there's over $1 billion that are givebacks in this bill from two utilities. Over $1 billion of givebacks. So I would hope that you all would reject amendments 1 and 2, and let's move the bill on and move the bill forward and modernize our grid. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak in favor of the amendments.
Senator has the floor.
There's a lot to go over in here, but just to address some of the comments that have been made about how great it would be if we could lock in prices. That was the debate that we had in 2015, if it was a good idea to freeze the rates. And there were several folks in this body who, including my predecessor, who were rightly concerned about the Obama administration's actions. But there were several of us that pointed out the rates weren't likely going to increase, or that the cost of electricity generation was not going to increase, and we shouldn't freeze the rates. And we pointed out that a publicly traded company with a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders would be acting irresponsible if they tried to freeze the rates in such a way so that their shareholders would not be getting the adequate return that they would be entitled to. And we didn't prevail that day, and the rates were frozen. And we saw what happened. And it wasn't a good thing for the ratepayer that the rates were frozen then. We also, at that time, a few years earlier, we were discussing fuel taxes and how we should assess the taxes on that. Well, if told you we're going to lock in the price of unleaded that you're going to pay at the gas station, and that's going to be good because you've seen the prices go up in recent years, you'd have been paying a lot more for fuel the last several years because prices don't always just go up. You know, we find that all the time. We found that in real estate several years ago, too. But it does not benefit the ratepayer to have artificially high rates frozen, and that's what we found in the last 3 years. With this, the discussion of who should make the decision about investments in the grid, the constitutional obligation on issues such as this since 1902 has been the State Corporation Commission. When the General Assembly has intervened, we haven't done a good job. I know there was well-intentions in 2015 by a lot of folks that were really concerned, but we didn't do a good job with that. We would have been far better had the State Corporation Commission been able to execute its constitutional responsibility and reviewed the rates. And going forward, we should have the State Corporation Commission reviewing if investors or ratepayers, which are customers in every other sense of the word, or that they don't have a choice of where they're going to buy their electricity from, we should have the State Corporation Commission making that decision. And that was widely agreed upon until just a few years ago. If this bill passes without the amendment, we're not going to have refunds ever again. You will be so incentivized by the double dip provision. And the utilities have a very good idea. They've got brilliant people working there, and they've had a very good idea since the rate freeze went into effect how much they were earning based on what they would have earned had the rates been adjusted. And they'll be able to guess going forward. And some folks think that's good, and they'll be able to make the decisions to put that in there. I will not yield at this time. And I think we're going to have a lot of time to discuss this anyways. But if we had done that, we would be far better off had the state corporation been able to make that decision rather than doing it. When it was just the comments that were made suggesting, this is what's best for society, this goes to the fundamental questions that we have all the time on taxes. Are folks better off with the money in their pocket to make the decision how to spend it? Well, the folks that are supposed to make that decision on utility issues, on infrastructure versus price to customers with a regulated monopoly, is the State Corporation Commission. What we would be doing is stepping in and saying to the State Corporation Commission, no, we will not allow you to make this distinction, and we're going to continue going forward with this. I have a feeling we're going to talk about it a little more, so I will yield the floor.
Will the gentleman agree with me that the State Corporation Commission still has to sign off on every one of these projects?
Senator, if you address your chair.
Gentleman yield for a question.
Will gentleman yield for a question?
I gave you a preliminary there, so you had time to prepare.
Will the senator yield?
One question or a series of questions?
No, just that one question.
Okay.
Would the gentleman agree
I'll
with
yield
me
for a
that
question.
Senator will yield for a question.
Just referred to, the State Corporation Commission still has to sign off on those projects. Would the gentleman agree with me to that?
I think that there's someone that is very eager to answer you.
I'll be happy to answer that question.
Oh, 1 second. 1 second. Does the senator want to answer or decline?
I'll yield to the senator whose amendment it is, who's very jumping at the bit to speak.
Senator from Fairfax City.
I would answer the gentleman that the State Corporation Commission looks at public necessity. And if there's a public necessity for the project, and if they bring it forward and show the public necessity, that's fine. But what they cannot do is decide whether the profitability one, because the profitability, the return on equity, is already locked into statute. So all they can determine is the public necessity. My objection to what is happening in this bill is that you're taking, again, something that's going to be built anyway, and now you're taking what was a customer refund, and instead you're diverting it for that project just because there will be a public necessity for it sometime down the road. That, to me, is irrelevant to this question of refunds.
Will that gentleman yield for a question?
Well, Senator yield.
I'll yield all day long.
All right.
Senator yield. Senator,
you made the statement it was going to be built anyway. Under what premise do you base that statement on?
I don't know of a
Senator
state,
has the floor.
I don't know of a state in the union that over the course of the next 20 to 30 years won't be building a new power plant or some type of new power facility.
Senior Senator from Virginia Beach, a further question?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Thank the senator. Senator from James City County. For what purpose does the senator rise?
Mr. President, I would like to move the pending question on these two amendments.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the pending question be ordered? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30, noes 10.
Ayes 30, noes 10. The pending question has been ordered. The question is, shall floor amendments 1 and 2 be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. Seeing at least 8 hands, we will have a recorded vote. All in favor of agreeing to the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 12, noes 27.
Ayes 12, noes 27. Floor amendments 1 and 2 fail. The senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Okay. Mr. President, I'm going to try to move more expeditiously. The next set of amendments would be Senate Amendments number 3, 4, and 5, which I would take as a block in number 2.
The senator has the floor.
And, ladies and gentlemen, this one is actually a little bit more of a discrete issue. It has to do with an issue involving coal ash cleanup and basically allowing Dominion to take the cost from coal ash cleanup and apply that, so it basically would suck up all of the amount that otherwise would be due in refunds. So by changing some of the time dates and by changing some of the cost recovery language, essentially the cost behind coal ash would be moved so all the customer refunds that would be spread over 40 senatorial districts will instead be concentrated on cleaning up the coal ash in a couple districts. And I understand people represent those districts, but the bottom line is for those of us that don't represent those districts, that's our money. So I guess I said that as a preface to moving to adopt the amendment to strike that language.
I thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Russell, Senator Chafin, rise?
Mr. President, somebody has pushed my button again.
Sorry to hear that, Senator. For what purpose does the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would hope we would defeat these floor amendments. There's still a lot of outstanding issues on coal ash, we know. Quite frankly, we're not quite sure where we're headed. We had a series of whole coal ash bills. We've agreed in a bipartisan manner yesterday to put all of those coal ash bills into a study that has teeth while we sort through that. I think it's premature at this point. This particular language allows us to continue, and if it does happen, although I can understand where the senator from Fairfax City is concerned that his people might have to pay for it, his people certainly use the electricity when that electricity was being generated, and regardless of what direction we take, and we don't know what big or if there will be any expense, but there's certain to be some. All of us enjoyed the fruits of the electricity that was generated from that, and in a way, ratepayers are going to need to pay for the cleanup of it if and when that time comes.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Surville, rise?
Speaking to the amendment.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to follow on to the senator from Virginia Beach, obviously the coal ash issue is an evolving issue, and it's going to involve at least $1 billion of expense, potentially as much as $5 to $10 billion. We'll see once the numbers come in next year. But the coal ash problem is not a problem that was caused by the people who live next to the plants. I mean, it was caused by everybody who turned on a light bulb since about 1940 when they started burying this stuff in the ground. And anybody who turned on a light bulb bears some responsibility for that stuff being there. And the utilities that put the coal ash in the ground at the time they did it were fully compliant with federal law, with industry best practices. And what happened is about 7 or 8 years ago, the EPA decided that it was being stored improperly and in a dangerous way and ordered every utility in the country to clean it up. So this coal ash issue has been created largely by the federal government for good reasons, but it's going to be a very expensive problem to solve, and if it's going to be solved, everybody's going to have to pay for it. And so while I appreciate the senator's concern that this is going to eat up a lot of the profits, this has to be paid for. It's just federal law requires it. And so I would hope the body would oppose the amendment.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Nobody chooses to speak twice. I would simply say the argument that's being made is that rather than the utility dip into its own profits to pay for this issue, as opposed to those of us that have companies that have to pay for our own liabilities, the customers should be overcharged for the issue. And so, again, I would much prefer just a simple, clean bill that says, you know what, we're going to overcharge your electric bill, and we're going to apply that to pay off this coal ash problem. Okay? And instead of 60 pages single-space language, that's not what we have. Again, I just don't think it's very transparent, so I hope you will support the amendment.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline, rise?
To speak very briefly to the amendment.
Senator has the floor.
The point that the senator from Fairfax City just made that I just think needs to be stated a little clearer is the shareholders in the corporations, the utilities, benefited by this policy because this is what the utility believed was the most cost-efficient way for them to do it. They benefited in the previous times while this was being exercised on that side. Now that it's been recognized that this may not be the best and that there's a significant cost, they're putting the cost onto the ratepayer instead of the shareholder where this should be. And so I hope we'll accept the amendment.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on floor amendments 3 through 5? Seeing none, the question is, shall floor amendments 3 through 5 be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. Floor amendments 3 through 5 are rejected. Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
All righty, Mr. President. On to number 3. This would be floor amendment number 6.
Senator has the floor.
Okay, floor amendment number 6, and I move the amendment and speak to explain it.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is a cap. This is in line 978 of the bill, and you've heard the proponents talk about rate reduction. The actual amount of the rate reduction is capped at $50 million, and this is in the 2021 review that would happen under the triennial review. And by the way, the fact that they're moving to a triennial review, and I'll talk to that in my next amendment, is in and of itself, believe me, benefits Dominion. It doesn't benefit your consumers. But the bottom line is they cap any rate reduction at $50 million. Well, my colleague, the senior senator from Fairfax County, has already showed how a $75 million reduction was almost meaningless. So imagine how meaningless $50 million is. Okay, $50 million spread over 2.5 million users in the Dominion network isn't going to do you much at all. So by capping this at $50 million, they might as well just take it out altogether. So I think we ought to take off the cap. Again, if the legitimate costs are not there for the electricity charges, then give the people a refund. Why is that so hard to do? We don't need a $50 million cap. Again, they're already getting a 10% return on equity on their projects. They're already making money hand over fist. If the refunds are greater than $50 million, the money should be given back.
Thank the senator. For what purpose the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope we would defeat this amendment. I'm not going to repeat my whole long diatribe, if you will, on the need to invest in the grid, the need to accommodate, the need to meet the new regulations that are coming out. I won't go into all of that one more time, but this is considered necessary in order to achieve that revenue stream that we're talking about to proceed ahead with modernizing the grid and making the grid more secure.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on floor amendment number 6? Seeing none, the question is, shall floor amendment number 6 be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. Chair is in doubt. We'll have a recorded vote. All those in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted?
That was Dominion.
Try this again. We're going to reset. We'll be at ease temporarily. Senate is back from recess. When we left, we were doing a recorded vote on floor amendment number 6. The voting machine has now been reset, and we will take that recorded vote. All in favor of the motion regarding floor amendment number 6 will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? You did. We will stand in recess temporarily.
Just to let everyone know what has been going on this morning, there have been several power surges in downtown Richmond. We did pay the bill. Anyway, that's impacted the voting system. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. We're going to try this once more to have a vote. As you'll recall, we are doing a recorded vote on floor amendment number 6, the Senate Bill 966. All those in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted?
Okay, Chap, I'm sorry.
Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Look at that. Viva voce. Everybody. This is some shit.
One more to go.
same thing again tomorrow.
It's Friday. I can talk for an hour.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
I can go into voltage regulation, everything else. That's your problem here. I can. You want me to? Yeah.
We paid the electric bill. If everyone would please take your seats, we're going to try this again. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Senator from James City County.
Thank you. Mr. President, Madam Clerk announced that there are power surges going on that are providing something of an interruption. One thing that might help this, if you noticed, we came incredibly close at almost closing the vote and finding what the tally was. If you would please be so kind to vote timely rather than some who like to watch the board to see what their neighbors doing. If you would vote timely, then they can close the vote timely and we can record it. And I just suggested to Mr. President, who certainly is presiding, that if in fact we were that responsive, then he could close the vote very quickly and perhaps we could get through this.
Thank the senator. We'll have a recorded vote regarding floor amendment number 6. Those in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? It's not allowing me to open the vote.
Hey, this is the system y'all voted in. It's your donor, not mine.
Yeah, it won't let me do that either. It's,
We are going to do this the old-fashioned way. Senator Barker. No. Senator Black. Yes. Senator Carrico. No. Senator Chafin. No. Senator Chase. Yes. Senator Cosgrove. No. Senator Dance. No. Senator Deeds. C. Senator DeStaff. No. Senator Donovan. Yes. Senator Eben. Yes. Senator Edwards. No. Senator Favola. No. Senator Hanger. No. Senator Howell. No. Senator Lewis. No. Senator Locke. No. Senator Lucas. No. Senator Marsden. No. Senator Mason. No. Senator McClellan. No. Senator McDougall. No. Senator McPike. Senator Newman. Senator Norman. Senator Obenshain. Senator Peake. Senator Peterson.
Yes.
Senator Reeves. Senator Ruff. Senator Saslaw. Senator Spruill. Senator Stanley. Senator Stewart. Senator Sturtevant. Senator Suderline. Senator Saraville. Senator Vogel. Senator Wagner. Senator Wexton. Ayes 10, noes 30.
Ayes 10, noes 30. Floor amendment number 6 is rejected. Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I have a fourth set of amendments, but I think at this point we've debated this issue, and I know we're going to probably take it up at a later time. So rather than do this again, I'm going to withdraw the last set of amendments. But don't think I'm admitting defeat.
Without objection, amendments 7 through 13 are withdrawn. The senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading. Senate will be at ease momentarily.
of the Virginia World War I History Commission, which was created in 1919. He mentions people he has come across at least a little through questionnaires of soldiers from the Commonwealth. People like Clarence Archibald Bryce Jr. and James Preston Spencer. Bryce, a Richmonder, was not yet 20 when he was killed in the Argonne Forest on November 1st, 1918, just days before the armistice. Chrisman also mentions Spencer, an African-American private from Charlotte County, who served in the 300 fighting despite institutional prejudice. Chrisman stated that Spencer felt that it was his duty, his patriotic duty, to serve his country at the most critical hour in the nation's history, although his race had not been given its proper rights. Wounded in the hand, Spencer wrote that he had been cheated out of his disability claim by prejudice on part of medical officers after his discharge. Spencer went on to become a school teacher and principal, was a member of the Virginia State Conference of the NAACP, and served as president of the Virginia Voters League, which was founded in 1941 to organize voter registration drives for African Americans. He died in 1960 at the age of 72. The 2018 theme suggests that contemporary conditions, past and present, give us cause for critical pause in our studies and deliberations to consider the specific and unique issues faced by African Americans in times of war. These issues include opportunities for advancement and repression of opportunities during wartime, the struggle to integrate the military and experience during segregation and successful integration, veterans' experience once they return home, the creation of African American veteran of foreign war posts, the topographies and spaces of Black military struggle, resistance and rebellion, and how Black soldiers and veterans are documented and memorialized within public and private spaces. These diverse stories reveal war's impact not only on men and women in uniform, but on the larger African American community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator from Hampton. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Rise for an announcement.
The senator has the floor.
We'll have a very expeditious rules meeting at the desk to re-refer some mistakes.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
May we return briefly to the morning hour?
Without objection, return to the morning hour.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've heard in the past, Senator Carrico and I have both, the senator from Grayson, Senator Carrico and I have both talked about our efforts on behalf of Wythe County, which I represent the eastern portion of, and he represents the western portion. And I represent the east side of Wytheville, and he represents the west side of Wytheville. It's a wonderful place to serve. A lot of great folks have come from Wytheville and Wythe County. The father of Texas, Stephen F. Austin, is a Wythe County son. And with us today we have our newer county administrator, Stephen Baer, another Stephen from Wythe County. And he's also joined by our supervisor at large, who represents the whole county, but lives in my eastern portion of the district, Tim Reeves. And then we have Supervisor Charlie Lester, who lives just on the western side and is represented by Senator Carrico. And I hope the Senate will join Senator Carrico and I in welcoming our friends from Wythe today.
I thank the senator. Would our distinguished guests from Wythe County and Wytheville please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you all so much for joining us here today for the Senate session. We echo the words of the senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline, and also on behalf of Senator Carrico from Grayson. We are grateful that you visited us here today. Wythe County and Wytheville is a beautiful part of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're proud of your leadership and the work that you're doing there. And we would ask everyone please to join us in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to our distinguished guests. Senior Senator from Loudoun County, Senator Black.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by a lovely young lady, the daughter of my seatmate, and her name is Olivia Vogel. She is 5 years old. She's in kindergarten, and she has been so fascinated by the discussion of electricity deregulation and all of this other stuff that she has been dozing on and off, but she is fully awake and alert right now. And so I ask that we extend the warm welcome of the Senate to her.
I thank the senator very much. Would Olivia Vogel please rise in the gallery? Olivia, thank you so much for joining us here today. We are honored that you would take the time to be here. We're grateful to you and your wonderful mom and for all the work that she does. And we know that she is very proud of you and your dad as well. And we all are very proud of you and wish you great luck in kindergarten. Thank you for sitting through our session today. And I would ask everyone here to please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Olivia Vogel. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Thursday, February 8th, the Committee on Rules will meet immediately upon adjournment at the chairman's desk. Rules immediately upon adjournment. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Higher Education will not meet. The Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources will not meet. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Public Education will meet 1/2 hour after adjournment in Pocahontas' 5th floor, Subcommittee Room Number 2. Senators Carrico, Donovan, Howell, Locke, and Peake. The Finance Subcommittee on Education will meet at 3 p.m. in the Pocahontas Subcommittee Room Number 1. Senators Norman, Howell, Saslaw, Hanger, Ruff, Donovan, and Stewart. The Committee on Finance will meet at 4:30 p.m. in Pocahontas Room B. The Legislative Black Caucus will meet at 6 p.m. in House Subcommittee Room 200A in Pocahontas. Tomorrow, Friday, February 9th, the Committee on Rules will meet at 8 a.m. in Senate Room 3 in the Capitol, 8 a.m. Senate Room 3 in the Capitol. The Republican Caucus will meet 1/2 hour before session in Senate Room 2. The Democratic Caucus will meet 1/2 hour before session in Senate Room 1. And you have 6 shopping days left for Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 10:30 tomorrow.
I thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow.